when they had someone last week on ESPN, they had the Thrilla in Manila, which will be one of the ones that I'll be talking about. And, you know, you watch it because of the history and because you want to see it again and because of the drama of that fight, the action, everything, right? But you almost wince a little bit at the brutality of it. Just as a human being, even though I'm in boxing my whole life, I still am human. And you just, it's almost like difficult to watch sometimes. And I appreciate everything else of it, don't get me wrong. But maybe it's me being in the business, I don't know. But knowing Ali's fate afterwards, his Parkinson's, and the many late years of his life that he was trapped inside his body, so to speak, and I think that's fair to say. That fight had something to do with that. Not all, but something to do with that. And so when you're watching it and you see and you're reminded of the pure brutality, just the thudding punches. Something I'm going to talk on ESPN when they have me kind of, preview it on SportsCenter before it starts showing a half hour later and before the marathon of fights, these great fights get shown on ESPN. One of the things I'm going to talk about is the drill in Manila that nobody has ever brought up. I don't know if they're aware of it or if they think in those ways, but part of the reason why the fight was so brutal, so damaging, and both fighters left pieces of themselves, don't make any mistake. Excuse me. They left pieces of themselves in the ring that night. Part of the reason is they had dissipated as athletes, as great athletes. They had eroded. Their skills had eroded. But their character, their will, their pride, their heart, it was still full. Yeah. So here you got guys that they don't have the skills anymore, but they still got the will, the pride, the heart, the character. But they're sitting ducks. They're there to get hit easier.
Yeah.
Because of the erosion of time, of their physical skills. And it made for a magnificent display of just how far we will go if we're determined enough and trained enough, how far we'll go to accomplish something, to be great. We'll go to a dangerous place. What's inside of us? We saw that. But it was also something that was destructive. And it was something that, was there was a price to pay. And the other part of it that made it really, really more brutal was back in those days. I'm going to point this out I don't think it's ever been pointed out on ESPN. Back in those days, Rob, they still used, they were Everglass gloves, if I remember correctly, and they still used horsehair. Mm-hmm. So here it is in the late rounds where both fighters are fighting in Manila and it's hot and they're dumping water on them and the gloves are getting drenched and they're banging. The horsehair started to separate where you could actually, if you look at it, you could actually see in the middle of the glove that it started to separate and it was folding on one side and the other where there was a gap, a space, where literally they were hitting each other with their knuckles at that point because of the separation of the horsehair.
Yeah.
And the drenching of the water that helped separate it.